Hey y'all, welcome back to Two Witches Talking. I'm Megan and I'm here with my co-host Morgan.
Hello.
How are you today, Morgan?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm enjoying the last couple of days of non-hellacious heat. I know you said that it was like 100 already, so but you know what? It's that Beltane energy that lighting a fire under us, so I'm not all that upset about it.
Yeah.
So
I do want to take a second to talk about the biggest bullshit of the week.
okay.
Bondsman was canceled.
Yes. That is such bullshit. Such bullshit.
Yeah, Colin informed me. He's like, oh, you know that Bondsman show was canceled. And I was like, what? And so I immediately Googled to confirmed it, and then immediately sent you a text. So
Yep.
I apologize to everyone if you were listening and we got you hooked on the show The Bondsman. We will never know if Lilith is going to take over the world.
It's true. And if you haven't watched already, the fact that it's only one season should not stop you from that, because there was a certain amount of resolution at the end.
Yeah.
For some of the characters, at least. But it sucks.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up.
Frowny face.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Well, that doesn't have anything really to do with this week's episode, but it has to do with our lives, and that's what's important.
Yes. Exactly. Well, I go back and listen to our episodes during my morning walks, and so I'm not going to lie, like I get invested in the conversations that you and I had, because we record so many weeks in advance to where, like, I don't remember. So then when I'm listening, I'm like, oh, I remember when that was happening.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I know we've talked about the Bondsman and Sinners and a bunch of other things. Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah. There's a new one, just to bring it up too, because my daughter says that it's good. There's a new one on Netflix called Sirens.
I need to check this out.
Okay, have you seen like a trailer for it?
I saw a trailer a couple of months ago, like when they were just teasing it.
Yeah.
It looks good.
I'm really excited because it is basically kind of like nine perfect strangers. Anyway, it's a wellness retreat, and the woman is like a cult leader, and I love it.
Nice. I cannot wait to see this.
My daughter says it's good.
Is it Julianne Moore?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Kevin Bacon and a bunch of other people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to watch it.
I know.
So good. So good.
Okay.
Well, this week we're taking some inspiration from your TikTok recently, right? Your TikTok experience. You want to tell everybody about it?
Yeah. So on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, I did an episode on why I don't think people should pay for spells. And in one of the sound bites, the reels, TikToks, whatever, I go into how no spell is guaranteed. Mm-hmm. No magic spell is guaranteed to work. So that's a hook that a lot of these scammers use to get your money. When they contact you online, they're like, oh, my spells are 100% guaranteed to work. And I'm like, so in my episode and in this soundbite, I said that no spell is guaranteed to work. So if anybody tells you that, please run in the opposite direction. Yep. Oh, man, people on TikTok got spicy with me. To the point where I ended up having to block one. Wow. I think I was blocked by the other person.
Wow.
I did.
What?
I did fail to tell you that information when I texted you. So the first point of, I guess, contention with people, the first thing that was presented to me was that if my spell did, it was a him too. He said, I beg to differ.
Well, you can beg to differ all you want, sir.
I beg to differ. If your spell doesn't work, then that means that you do not have enough power or intention. To which I replied, I literally said, ha, 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 ha. That's a good one. Please don't let beginner witches think that that's the truth, because it is not. Yeah, and he's the one, his comment's missing, so I'm pretty sure he blocked me. It's probably because I laughed at him and because he's a man.
Excellent.
Like, God forbid I say anything horrible to, or contrary to a gentleman.
A strange man on the internet.
Yeah, right. So the other one is the one I blocked, because she and I went back and forth, because her first question was, "But how do you know?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't understand your question." And she's like, "How do you know that not all spells work?" And I'm like, "Well, because that's just how magic works. Like, not all spells are guaranteed to work." And she said, "But how do you know? Because you don't practice all magic." And I'm like, I really don't understand now.
That makes zero sense.
She said that because there are closed practices out there, I couldn't possibly have practiced every single type of magic out there. So how can I tell people that all spells don't work if I'm unable to practice all magic? So
that still makes no sense.
Well, that's when...
Because that's not what you were saying.
No.
Anyways,
so
go ahead.
That's when my eye started twitching. And so because she just kept coming back with, "How do you know?" And it reminded me of just a freaking toddler. But then I replied back and I said, "Well, I've never been to Antarctica, but I know it's cold down there." And that's when she replied back, "Well, I know." She said, "Oh, well, I know that spells work if you're a true practitioner, so you're not." And that's when I was like, okay, block, because I don't have time for shit. And I was really just having fun anyway. Because let me tell you, when I do actually engage with trolls, it is not for the benefit of the troll. It's for the benefit of the people, the beginner witches who are reading comments.
Yeah.
I leave them there. Well, obviously, when I blocked her, our whole thread disappeared. But yeah, I was like, so I sat there at the end of the day and I was like, what the fuck just happened? Because I thought it was just common knowledge that not all spells work. And not only that, like, I did a podcast episode on my own podcast months ago about, like, if your spell doesn't work, here's the different alignments or things that could have happened, because not all spells work. But to have people get so spicy with me about it, I don't know. I don't know if they were just trolls or if they do, like, maybe they cast spells for people and that's something that they use, you know?
Yeah.
So I just thought that this would be a great, the two of us talking through like why spells don't work, or just at least letting beginner witches know not all of your spells are going to work, honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously. Well, I just, like, before we dive into that, I just have to think that either these people, if they're not just internet trolls, because there are some people, I was shocked until I experienced it firsthand. There are people that will sit on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, 10, 12 hours a day. I'm like, what are you doing with your life? It is crazy. Anyway, so before that experience, I had no idea. But, you know, so it's either somebody like that, or it's somebody that charges people for spells, or it's somebody who, and I hope it's, I don't know which one's better, actually. I was going to say, or it's somebody that's just kind of like hanging on by a thread, and like the belief that they have is that they can cast a spell and it's going to work every time. You know, and it's like, maybe they're just like not in a good place mentally or emotionally. I don't know.
Yeah, but when a spell fails, though, they're going to be let down even more if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And that's why I'm like, maybe this is the worst one of all, that it's like, I don't know. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You don't put all your spells in one spell book. I don't know. Like, what's the equivalent there? Yeah. Well, and there's also like the third kind. So there's like spells that work, and then there's spells that don't work, and then there's spells that don't work the way you thought they would.
Yeah. No, those are the fun ones. The ones that explode.
Which is a big one.
Yeah.
Like, huge. And I think it's important for anybody casting spells to know that.
Yes.
I mean, really, it's like, I have said even on this podcast that I believe that magic is just it's forces that science has yet to just describe and define, right? And so in that same vein, like, casting spells is a lot like a scientific experiment.
Oh, 100%.
Like, you know, you're putting your spell and your intention all in there, and you've got your ingredients, and you are hoping for a positive outcome or negative, depending, I guess, on what you're doing. And in the end, you never truly know how that's gonna work or if it'll work.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think maybe differentiates real practitioners from fake ones.
Yeah.
Is I think when we all get into witchcraft, we're hoping every single spell we cast works because we're putting time and energy into it. It's great, you know? And the first time that a spell fails, you're devastated. You truly are. But you can learn from it. You know, you can tweak, you can learn. But what it's supposed to make you do is reevaluate the spell itself. Like, do I truly want this? You know, is this aligned with my greater good? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where people that are witches, they understand that. They understand that they may want something real bad.
Yeah.
But if it's not in their highest good, they may not get it.
Yeah.
And that's what kills me. And I know I mentioned it in a past episode. You know, the Nigerian scam artist that I have said that they have a love spell that works 100% of the time, even if no emotions are involved. Their spell is so powerful that it will draw two people together with no emotion whatsoever, and then the spell will create the emotion between people. And I'm like,
no.
All of that is such bullshit. And that's where you can differentiate between like real practitioners of magic, whether they're witches or hoodoo, voodoo, whatever. Like, they understand laws of nature, or they understand that if something doesn't work, it's their guides going, hey, cut it out. This is not meant for you.
Yeah.
Whereas people just in it for whatever, like, they don't have that. They're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Yeah. And that's when your spell might work on the 17th time of you casting it. But at that point, your guides, everybody have given up. They're like, we fucking told her 16 times not to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And here on the 17th time, we have to let her learn. And then it happens, you get your thing, and then you're like, oh shit, never mind, I didn't want this. Or it comes in a horrible way.
Right.
Because you kept on pushing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and like, you know, we talk a lot about like moon magic and doing, you know, setting intentions around a new moon or doing full moon magic, all that. Like, sometimes that can work fast. However, most of the time, the stuff you cast on a new moon is going to come to fruition 6 months later when the moon is full in that same sign. That's a 6-month time period, right? And a lot can happen in 6 months. But I think, and I think Hollywood and books and that sort of thing are to blame in a large part for this. We think a spell gets cast, the change happens immediately, and here we go. And what it truly is, in most cases, is a spell is cast, and then the intention and the energy are working. And they're doing it in their own time. I saw a great video after I was talking about, you know, telling someone's name to the trees or to a river. I saw somebody else pop in and they were like, look, if you're talking to the trees or you're talking to nature or you're talking to your spirit guides or you're petitioning a god or deity or someone to like do something for you, you do that petition and then you let it go, because that's a whole other time scale. And you just like wanting to like check in, like, how's it going, is the most annoying thing in the world for the spirit world. And it's taken care of. And, you know, in some cases, like, I would just add to that sometimes it's taken care of and you don't even see that it's taken care of. You will never know if it is or not. Like, if you banish somebody, you put them in the freezer or whatever, you may never know what happens to them 8 months down the road when you've already severed ties with them and cut your cords, what is going on for them? You know? So it's kind of like some of the Witchy Confessions we were reading, like the one in particular that was the ex-partner, and like she had that kill switch, or they had that kill switch on there to end the spell when the dude finally was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, what did you do? And to me, that sounded like a months-long experience for that guy, which, you know, karma's only a bitch if you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, that brings up another good point of, especially for beginner witches, understanding what magic is and what magic can do. And understanding that magic takes the path of least resistance too. Okay. So this is why it is very important to be specific in your spell, but not be so specific that the energy has like just a little crack to squeeze through to try and make your intentions happen.
Right.
But depending on what the spell is, if you want to open a floodgate and just say, hey, how's it going to come to me? I would say it would depend on the spell. But that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is sometimes the energy's moving there. The energy, the magic is moving in that direction. You just may have some rocks in the way, or it's not a straight path. That's another thing. Is energy very rarely goes from point A to point B directly unless you've already opened up that pathway. Yeah. Yeah. And then going from A to B, those are the spells like you cast them and maybe you've already been doing some energy work or putting those intentions out there, but then you finally light that candle with the oil and all of that, and by the time the candle's done burning, you get an email or you get a phone call, which has happened, like stuff like that does happen. But you've probably already been thinking about it for a while, and even just putting that energy out there. Yeah. But generally speaking, magic goes from point A to A-1, A-2, 7, 12, 9, 4, A-3. Yep. Yep, it does. It does. And that can take a day, a week, a year. I can remember when I was first starting out casting spells. Actually, it was not even casting spells. When I was a teenager, before I was really getting into it, I always realized that people that I really disliked for like legit reasons, it was always 6 months to a year later. Karma would come swinging back around. Yep. And that was just what I thought about it. I was like, oh, it's karma, because I never was casting spells, but I just made mental notes. Like, oh man, this, because I didn't consider myself a witch. I wasn't into any of it. Right. But even thoughts and intentions and stuff, get sent out there. And even it was good things too, though. So if I had someone I really loved or really was friends with, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just want so many happy, amazing things to happen to them. 6 months to a year down the road, some big, amazing things would happen. Yeah. And so that's, I think, was my first lesson in, oh shit, things don't happen easily. And that was before I was even a witch, just kind of picking up on the energetic patterns going on in my life. Yeah. So, yeah. That's cool. Well, there's been times that my spells have not worked, and I'm sure you've also had those experiences. For me, it is when, and I want to be very specific about this, but it's when I have half-assed a spell. And it's not about the materials I use or the supplies I have. It's where I'm energetically half-assing it, where I have not prepared myself, because I truly believe I could sit here at my desk, light no candles, light no incense, bring no gemstones into it, nothing at all, and cast a spell using just my energy. Yes. Right. And if that energy is off,
It does not matter how many other supplies I'm using. It doesn't matter if I'm pulling in my spirit guides or asking my goddesses to help, because they're going to be like, you need to go take a nap or eat a burger or something. Like, you need to go do something that is not magic, because your head and your spirit is not in the game.
Yes.
And that's been my most predictable thing, is if I just kind of half-ass something, or if I'm like laying in bed at night and I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if blah, 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 blah. And I woke up tomorrow with yada, yada, yada. And I wake up the next day and it didn't happen. And I'm like, yeah, that's just me. That's just me laying in bed with wishful thinking. Yes. But if I had laid in bed and really grounded myself and called my spirits in and called on my team of goddesses and guides, who knows? But it would have been more likely to work. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had times, obviously the most notable, and I think it's definitely worth saying, and I don't know if I've ever actually shared some of this information anywhere, not even on my own podcast. So this is going to be fun. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that, and I don't cast spells a lot, like consciously grab candles and incense.
Yeah, I don't
you
either.
know what I mean? So for me, it is a lot of intention. Okay. And I think everyone can relate to having their heart broken and just sitting there and having that intention, go out of like, oh my gosh, I want so much to have this person back. And maybe some people do cast spells for it. And for me in my love life, like, Colin and I dated when we were teenagers. He broke up with me on his 18th birthday. Of course, I was torn up about it. 10 months later, he picked up the phone and gave me a call. And there had been things that happened in his life to where he realized, man, if I had had Morgan around, I would not have done that stupid shit. Like, she would have kept me straight, and I need someone like that in my life. I need her in my life. And so 10 months later, And then on the contrary, on the side note of that, Colin and I walked away at 27 years old, 28 years old. We separated for 3 years. I very seriously, he and I both very seriously dated 2 people in that 3-year time span.
Yeah.
And I sit there and think about it today, like when the first one ended, I was so broken up. But I look back now like, oh, thank God. And then the second guy is currently in prison. So that's the piece of information I've never shared before. He's currently in prison for horribly unspeakable things that I thank God got my children out of that house when I did. But like, oh my God, can you imagine if those intentions would have panned out?
No.
Oh, no. And it was hitting rock bottom for me, and finally just being like, men suck, and for that split second, do I want to try women? No, I want nothing. Okay.
Right.
I am done with romantic everything.
Yeah.
That Colin and I started talking again, and, just became friends all over again. And, the rest is history. We got back together, and, it was absolutely beautiful. But maybe he and I were separated for 3 years. We had a lot of shit to learn separately.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if that's a prime example of like, you can cast spells and cast spells and cast spells, but if it's not meant to be, there is a reason, and you have got to trust your guides on that and your path as well. And if it is meant to be, then it will find a way, because Colin and I are on both ends of the spectrum when it comes to that. We've broken up several times. We've gotten back together several times. But, here we are getting ready to celebrate 26 years of marriage. Right. And we know each other now more than we've ever known each other. And he's basically my best friend. So, so things happen the way that they're supposed to. But
absolutely. Well, and and you've got to factor in too that it's like, it's not a spell like, I'm sidetracking myself. The freaking love spell, I'm like, I guaranteed to work, blah, 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 blah. No, fuck that. Because it's 2 people. I'm assuming just 2 people. Maybe there's more. I don't know. But there are people with their own sovereignty and their own will and their own free will. And it's like, we've all had that person, maybe it was in middle school or high school, that just fawned over us. That was like, they just had the biggest crush on us. And we were like, you're kind of creepy, dude. Like, I cannot deal with this. I definitely had one of those. And I'm like, ugh. And it's like, it does not matter how much energy and intention that one person puts in. And this person in particular put in like energy and intention in the form of like poetry and things and art. And so like, that's a lot of creative things and creative energy, right? Which we know is very generative and super magical. And I was like, hell no. And it would not have mattered who cast what, where. We don't live in a Disney movie. We don't, live in this world where we can bend others to our will like that. Because goodness knows if we could, the world would be a completely different place.
That is so true.
Maybe for the better, but it would be different.
And even if I've always wanted to ask somebody that does stuff like this, like, let's say that there is a crack. Mm-hmm. Let's say there's a crack in that person and your energy gets into that crack.
Yeah.
And gets them.
Yeah.
But then you got them back by a spell. Like, how do you know that are they really there?
Right.
Or are they there because of your spell? And then, like, that even goes one step further. Like, what if they're not meant to be there? Your energy did get into a small crack. Worked its way in there. The person decided to be with you, and you're blocking your true like, this is not who you're supposed to be with. So how long is this? Because inevitably it will end.
Yeah.
If it's not meant to be, inevitably it will end. So how much time are you wasting on this? How much time are you putting in feeding this spell all the fucking time? How much time are you going in the wrong direction before that's when the Tower card does hit. That's when shit hits the fan, because your path is so fucked up that the universe is like, okay, enough, fine, just and then they fuck your whole life up so you can get right back on track. Like, how much time just was wasted if you would have just not and sat back, maybe cast an open, like, this is who. Like, think about the person's attributes that you love. Like, oh, I loved the way they made me laugh, and I loved how strong they were, and I loved the fact that they were over 6 foot, if that's your thing, you know. And you write all of those down, and just send that out into the universe. What if your perfect person was right around the corner, and you had no idea because you worked on this little crack that this person had, and you got in there. And now you've spent 10 years with dumbass.
It's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. And also remember that the universe has a sense of humor. So if you put all these attributes, and maybe one of those attributes is like, oh, I want somebody that's 6'5", and the universe sends you a person with all those attributes and they're 5'6", right? Just to like flip it around on you. And you have to, I think, when you cast spells, you need to be on the lookout for signs that it's working or signs that it's not. And it's okay if it's not. Just go back to the drawing board. Like, that's why having a book of shadows and a journal and all this is really necessary, so you can see what happened and what didn't happen. Yeah,
and that actually brings up another thought that I just had. So spells often don't work because you thought you wanted something and then you got it. And then you're like, oh, I should have been a little bit more specific. We were looking for extra help here. This was a couple of years ago. And I did that. I said, okay, I'm going to write down the attributes of a person on a piece of paper. And I'm going to write down the attributes and I'm going to give it away to the universe. Yeah. And about a month later, we received a random email from somebody saying, hey, I just thought I would reach out, like, I would love to work for your company. Here's my resume, da-da-da-da. I fell in love. I did. I was like, oh my gosh, she crosses off every single box I checked. And I was like, universe, I love you. Yeah. She never even got her foot in the door. We had so many fucking issues Just from from her, the time she came in for the official interview until when she was supposed to start, it was such a clusterfuck that I realized I was like, and then at the end, she ended up calling me crazy and blocking me on social media. And I was like, oh my God. So like, and let me tell you, the emails were extremely professional between us. So she was batshit. Okay. She was batshit. And so when it was all said and done, because I got very mad. And you know what? Don't feel bad about yelling and screaming at your guides for a second. Because you gotta get it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I wrote down, I did what you all wanted. I wrote down everything. You gave me that perfect person. Why is she batshit crazy? And they were like, because you weren't specific enough. You needed to have, like, now how important is it to you that the person is this and this and this? And I'm like, super fucking important. And they were like, well, you didn't write that down the first time. And I'm like, fine. So sometimes spells don't work, or they work and then don't work. Just to help you clear up the muddiness, or maybe understand what your non-negotiables are now. Like, you thought it was this and this and this, but after dealing with that, you're like, fuck, I'm gonna add 2 more to the list.
Yeah. Because really, that spell did work.
It did.
It worked. It just, the energy between her and the business was just not right.
No.
You know.
Which is another spell that, you know, or it's another thing, because like I have hella protection spells on the business and everything. So it's almost like one spell started fighting another spell. And that's what happened with this explosion between us. And at the end of it, I was so frustrated. But I was like, all right, I vented to my guides. I got it all out. And now I'm good. I trust you all. I trust that this happened for a reason. And that's what needed to happen.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Man, it's a journey though, right? I mean, witchcraft is a practice. Like, we often talk about your magical practice, your witchcraft practice, and it is a practice. It's much like, which freaks me out, but it's much like medicine. They always talk about medicine is a practice and being a doctor is a practice, because, you know, with what we do, all kinds of things could be factored in that we don't even realize, right? We have other people involved, or other energies involved. And like you said, you know, if it's not meant for you, it won't happen. Or if it's not meant for you right now, it won't happen right now. And that's okay.
Yes.
It's all a journey.
It is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we want to know if y'all have had failed spells. So you can email us or reach out to us on social media and let us know. I'll add all those in here in a minute. We still have to pull cards for each other. But yeah, we'd love to hear your failed spells or your successful ones, like one that like totally blew your mind. And maybe that can be like our next Witchy Confession episode. That would be really fun.
That would be really fun. I would love that, especially if there was a spell like you cast one way and because it can happen too. You're asking for this, like you're asking for one thing, but what you get is so much better.
Yeah.
Like, that's why leaving it open to a certain extent and trusting in the universe and your guides and all of that, they can give you something better than what you asked for, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that'd be so cool.
Yep. I love that.
All right. You want to pull a card for us?
Yes. All right.
Woohoo.
Dun, dun,
Are we not doing that one?
Well, shit. Nah, we're doing it.
We're doing it?
We're doing it. I think that this is my karma for having brought them up.
Oh.
How do you think your exes would describe you? This is instant karma for having even mentioned about them in a public space.
Uh-huh.
One of my batshit crazy, 100%. He would describe me as batshit crazy. And that's not even the one that's in prison. I don't really care what he would think. So, the one that is not in prison, batshit crazy, witchy, but he would call me batshit. That's what he called me when we were together.
Yeah.
So I'm
Right.
pretty sure it would have continued forward.
I'm glad he's an ex, because anybody that calls you batshit crazy to your face needs to step off, in my opinion, especially since you, specifically you, are not batshit crazy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that sucks. Mine would definitely say I'm bossy, because I'm not bossy, but I am, like, I have standards, and a lot of them were lazy. A lot of them were looking for a mom figure in their life to just kind of take care of all the things and balance the checkbook and, all of that. And so if you want me to treat you like a mom, I'm going to treat you like a mom. And some of that involves bossing you around.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, like a couple of my exes would probably be like, yeah, she's really driven. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm like, yeah.
See, that's good, because I'm reading this book called Breaking Up with Burnout, and in it she says that very strong-willed women in the workplace are often called bossy or bitchy or meh, 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 because
It's true.
we're painted in negative lights by men.
We are.
So
It's true. Thanks for the shout out.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it applied. It applied to the conversation.
It
so.
did. I know. It was so great. I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. You can find us online at Two Witches Talking on Instagram. We also have a Patreon. Head over to the Inked Goddess Creations YouTube channel for our podcast. You can find Morgan's podcast there as well. And it's kind of ending up being a really fun duo to listen to, because some of the things that end up in her podcast then like find their way into ours. So that's a lot of fun. We also are reachable at TwoWitchesTalkingPod, POD, at gmail.com. That's where you can send your witchy confessions. We will keep everything anonymous. We will not name names. You can send in your successful or failed spells. Anything you want us to talk about, let us know if there's like a theme or an idea that you just really want to hear our take on. We're happy to do that. So I think that's all the links.
That's all. That's all of them.
Excellent. Yay, I did it. Woo. All right. Well, thanks again for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.